From the perplexing to the provocative, we're diving into the heart of today's most heated discussions. Brace yourself as we unravel the narratives, debunk myths, and confront the outrageous. Are you ready to challenge the truth? Let's get into it.
What does have to do with the lack of funding? I mean, in my opinion, I think that there's great opportunity for Black Americans to attend schools all over the country. I mean, there are so many different grants and scholarship programs that are specifically for minority students or minority applicants that white students don't get to enjoy. And even we find that Black and brown students are more likely to get scholarships when they apply versus white students because of things like that. Or even we know that when equally qualified applicants apply to a school, Black applicants are 20 times more likely to be accepted than equally qualified white students. Asians get a little bit ticked down, I think 5 or 6% less likely, simply because of things like affirmative action and this idea of progress that we've been trying to actualize throughout society. So I don't think it can be simply ascribed to Black students aren't going to college because of race. I think it's simply because of choices that are made within the Black community that don't tend to result in that as an outcome.
An anchor debunks a student's claim that racial discrimination is the sole reason Blacks are underrepresented in college. It's a complex issue that deserves a full picture.
Never encountered the gender unicorn. Here. Do we have... I knew the gender unicorn was going to do it. I knew that was going to cause the students to walk out. Oh, is that? That's a very articulate salute from one of these students. Raising high that creepy flag. All right. Guys, you didn't even let me get to the genderbread man. I had another one up my sleeve. All right, goodbye. What did you say? Someone said something about children? I'm not surprised that those creeps said something about children. That's exactly why we're here tonight. It's because very radical, very creepy people are trying to indoctrinate children into sexual ideologies. All right, now that they're gone, do we still have to talk about the gender unicorn? I hope not.
Discussion of the gender unicorn topic triggers a walkout by left-leaning individuals. It's a moment that highlights the divide in educational content debates.
I am a beautiful Black woman that also sometimes identifies as a cat or a dog. So I hope you got a leash or a litter box for your guest, for the ones that identifies as cat or dog.
A person who identifies as a cat or dog insists on accommodations like leashes and litter boxes for similarly identifying guests. Understanding and respect go both ways.
We both know
nuclei. Yeah,
chromosomes don't necessarily mean you're male or female.
Gender.
With gender
identity. Go ahead. No, so
especially, but even so, you have a thing like Klinefelter's syndrome. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics or no?
Well, no.
What are your genetics?
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
No, I know. Well, but wait. To be fair, you're actually being kind of rude. And that's not fair.
I'm sorry, it's not rude to say that someone who is biologically a male is a
trans individual threatens Ben Shapiro during a heated discussion about chromosomes. Dialogue turns tense when basic questions are seen as provocations.
Abolish ICE. No, I don't say abolish ICE, because if you abolish it, you're just going to create another enforcement agency. You know, INS, ICE. What's next? You just come up with a new acronym to use. Yeah. So we say smash ICE to let the refugees in, full citizenship rights to all immigrants, and that's our political line.
So the benefits of like abolishing or just getting rid of any sort of immigration custom enforcement institution would just be so that everyone can like come in and stuff like that without harassment?
So, obviously, well, I'm for international socialist revolution, so I don't also say open borders, because Cuba, you say Cuba open borders, that means you're allowing capitalism to come in. So I don't say open borders, I say let the refugees in, I say to grant full citizenship rights to all immigrants, but those demands are not going to be met because the Democratic and Republican Party, the U.S. needs the immigration to exploit them, to exploit the workers.
You don't believe
a socialist walkie advocates for open borders and the abolition of ICE, sparking a debate on the implications for national security and immigration policy.
So you should support President Trump trying to help them get out of prison.
He's not going to help them.
He already has.
No,
He already has the First Step Act. 94% of the people released were black.
And you can't...
Joe Biden put them in prison. He was so hard on offenses. He said, go out there in these communities, put people in jail for these offenses. He wanted to go hard on crime. 1994 crime bill, look it up. He has sat there and bragged about the fact that there is not a crime bill out there that doesn't have his name on it because he is so gung-ho about crime.
I'm not saying Joe Biden is good, but he's better.
How is that better than releasing black people from prison for non-violent offenses?
That's not part of his game plan.
He has already done it. He's already done it.
He's made
A wokey struggles to respond when presented with evidence that prison reforms are aiding black communities. Facts challenge oversimplified narratives.
You think that black people are bad?
No, statistics can't show what people think. Statistics just show what the reality is. And we can look at statistics and graphs and things that have been collected over decades, and we can see where the problems might be within these communities that are destroying the cities right now. We can look at these statistics and we can maybe narrow down where the issue might be. And if we want to solve issues, I tell you what, Black Lives Matter is not the place we need to look for solving issues with police brutality when they want to take the fathers out of the home. You remove the fathers, you destroy the nuclear family for children that need to grow up in a stable family structure. Their odds of committing crime and going to jail skyrocket. I don't know why we say black people have an issue with the police and then want to make their risk of getting involved in the police go up. I would encourage you to look at their mission statement and then look at the statistics about what happens when we take fathers out of the home, especially for the black community.
Claims that racial biases are the primary reason for incarceration rates among black people are countered with detailed statistics and studies.
Republican thing. The Don't Say bill, I think, is falsely labeled the Don't Say. I've actually gone to the page, read the bill itself. It's actually called the Parental Rights and Education Bill. And if you go through and read the bill itself, a lot of people engaged in all this fanfare and getting angry about a label, which is 3 words that they heard, rather than going and actually reading the bill. And the bill itself talks about just staying away from sexual education that has to do with other sexualities, has to do with gender theory. A lot of people got mad at the bill saying that he was trying to erase African American history. But if you go in and read it, there's actually a full paragraph where he says the school must dedicate time to talking about African American history, including slavery and Jim Crow and all these different things written directly in it. There's nothing in the bill that explicitly says you should not say the word or encourages teachers to not talk about the fact that you can have a family that has 2 dads or 2 moms. So I think that was
misconceptions about the Don't Say bill are clarified in a detailed discussion. Education on legislative content is key.
Or not you who might say that. Okay. So the idea that I am transphobic, for example, this is a bizarre kind of attack in the sense that I don't know that I've ever exhibited phobia of trans people. I'm not afraid of trans people.
Well, transphobia is more along the lines of prejudice against the trans.
So I actually think that your first characterization was right. I think that transphobia is really disagreement with the basic principle that the trans community is trying to purvey, which is that people's is malleable, that people can move from male to female, and that it is my job, objectively, to now call them the name they wish to be called, and to teach my children that men can be women and women can be men. I fundamentally disagree with that point. Now, with that said, is everybody in the United States entitled to the same rights? Of course, but your right does not extend to forcing me to...
Accusations that certain speeches incite violence against the LGBTQ+ community are examined critically, stressing the need for factual basis in such claims.
I'm not sure that you can, actually, because I think what's here at the basis of it is a Gnostic idea that you can separate your soul and your body. And I know we don't like to use the word soul anymore, so we'll say your identity, man, or whatever, but that you can separate that from your body. And I just don't think you can. I think a woman is the sort of person who isn't a man. I think that's the basic definition of a woman.
What's a man then?
A man is the sort of person who isn't a woman.
How did you know we were women?
Because you look like women.
Okay.
And you sound like women, and when I talk to you, you give the impression that you're women.
So if a really good passing trans woman is here and you were mistaken?
Then I would be mistaken, but he would not be a woman.
No, but my point is that
I can be mistaken on
what
rare
you're looking
occasion.
at is secondary sex characteristics, and those are things that people can
Those are the
change.
signs
so
that point to the reality
that,
of their sex.
this is all men and women, and
But I'm not saying the signs are synonymous with their I'm saying the signs are signs, and the signs symbolize something.
But Michael Knowles confronts feminist arguments about transgenderism with pointed critiques, fostering a challenging discourse.
People who were transgender in ancient Greece, Rome, Judaism is an example of a religion that acknowledges, I think, 6 or 7 genders.
I don't think that's quite true. And my evidence for that would be in the very first book of the Torah, in Genesis. One of the most prominent lines is that in the beginning, God created man. Both male and female created he them.
Michael Knowles addresses historical claims about transgenderism, providing context to challenge the assertion that it was prevalent in ancient cultures.
But why do you trust kids who try to transition and recognize that is the wrong puberty for them, but not kids who are going through the wrong puberty and recognize that that is not the right puberty for them?
There's no such thing as the wrong puberty.
Yes,
there really isn't. No, there isn't. In order to mature and become an adult, no, it's not a choice. You cannot stop nature. And if you try, there will be consequences. And there have been. I've been on these treatments, and you might have heard that they're reversible, but they're not. To this day, I experience pains in my joints, and I get shooting pains in my back. And they're so painful that for a moment, they will tear.
A detransitioned woman responds to pro-trans arguments about childhood transitions, emphasizing the importance of cautious approaches to gender dysphoria.
Want to catch wokey moments in 4K? Watch till the end, subscribe, like the video, and comment wokies for a chance to win a brand new iPhone 16 or a cash prize. Also, don't forget to check out the next video on the end screen for more chances to win.
In school, as young as 6 years old, it's mostly about LGBTQ, gender ideology, and also sexuality and all the relationship it's going. Do you agree that that is good for children, and do you have any concern that is as young as 6 years old?
I think I would have loved to have this kind of education when I was younger, because I think we all, and at my age, I'm 40 actually, and I believe it was all of a lack of trauma and having no models of not knowing what's happening, or feeling yourself that you're different and not knowing what it is.
I don't think that program is really promoting of children. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think it's really important for them to be aware that the spectrum exists and that there's people on it, and it's okay to be part of it.
The introduction of LGBTQ+ curriculum to 6-year-olds sparks debate. It's about finding a balance between education and age-appropriate discussions.
Catholic. I don't see either of those words in the Bible.
Are you Protestant or Catholic? Do you recognize the authority of the Pope?
I answered you.
Do you recognize the authority of the Pope?
I'm gonna read
Do you recognize the authority of the Pope? Do you recognize the authority of the Pope? Are you circumcised? Will you go to heaven? Are you circumcised?
I can read you a verse
Are
about
you
that
circumcised?
too. Okay, so.
Are you circumcised? Are you circumcised? Answer my question. Are you circumcised? Are you circumcised? Are you circumcised?
Leviticus says,
are you circumcised? Are you circumcised?
You, I'm trying to answer your
My
question.
Bible says that if you are circumcised, you will go to hell.
Your Bible, can you show me?
My Bible.
Show me.
The one in my heart, written on the walls of my chest.
Well, I can show you.
A Wokey claims bizarrely in a debate with a preacher that circumcision dictates spiritual fate, a statement that distracts from more grounded theological discussions.
Border Patrol is where it came from.
Was very inhumane president, but he was an ass.
Yeah.
And Biden has more humanity. So whatever that means, I don't know. But maybe it shows that Biden has more humanity than Trump.
By allowing this many people into the country illegally?
Where's my word? You don't.
Or what's more humane about it, do you think, in your view?
When presented with immigration statistics, a Wokey criticizes the humane aspects of Biden's policies compared to Trump's, igniting a discussion on policy supporting the necessity of firearms for women's safety, challenging views on gun control and personal protection.
How do you personally limit your impact on the environment?
I'm vegan. I don't eat any for animal rights reasons and for environmental reasons because factory farming has a massive, horrible environmental impact on the planet.
How about like taking flights? Do you not take flights or?
I do take flights. I try to limit to only flights that like I absolutely feel like I need to take, but
I guess it's hard to be like completely off of everything.
yeah, I mean it's great to try to reduce your footprint, but I think probably the easiest thing you can do is go vegan, and then you contribute a lot.
A climate activist claims going vegan is her contribution to combating climate change, yet her use of a smartphone highlights the complexities of truly sustainable practices. For more wokey videos, click on the screen right now.